So this video is for 10th graders who are ready to move on if your class has finished process journals 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So teachers, this is up to your professional judgment. You know your classes much better than I do, how you organize your advisement class. You can pause this video and take a vote, whatever you want to do, to see where your class is. If more than half the class needs another work day, you can use today as a makeup day to get caught up on those first 5 process journal entries. I recognize some of these videos are a little bit longer, so the days you had to work on them, you might need another makeup day here. So we should be towards the end of September, be close to having everyone with a project topic. Sometimes students start late, so I recognize those challenges. So you can take a vote. If more than half of your class needs work time, you can go ahead and give them that. And then those that are ready to move on, so this is an option so those that need more work time, you can give them that work time to go back and work through these first 5 process journals. Those that are ready to move on, but since you can't start this next piece yet as a whole class, those that are ready can sit with peers and get feedback, share their process journals, their product, their success criteria, and get feedback from their classmates, and then have them add notes here. Because part of that, one of the ATLs that you can work on is giving and receiving feedback from peers. So that is an ATL skill that will show up later in this project that they could write about. If you are ready to move on with your whole class, everyone has picked a topic, you're good to go. Today you are going to start preparing for writing the paper in October. So the vast majority of October is working on the paper. So you can see in October, you have time for students who need to finish those initial process journals, and then there will be some CP and DP presentations, hopefully scheduled sometime in that advisement chunk. And then most of October is just going to be working on Criterion A of the paper. Very few process journals in October. So today, if you're ready to move on, you are going to look at papers from other students who wrote their paper last year. So please be kind to your peers. These were papers we submitted to IB. So you are going to go back to that link that had project ID, personal projects from other students, and you're going to open the links to look at their projects or their papers. And while they have submitted criteria A, B, and C, you are only going to read criteria A from another student. And then you're going to look at the rubric and you're going to give a score for the paper and why. Why would you give it the score that you did? And something you want to remember, either from an example from their paper that you really liked or something that was confusing that you want to make sure you don't make that same mistake in your paper. What advice are you giving yourself of what you want to focus on in criteria A? So let me show you the rubric. There's a link, it's in the slides, it's everywhere because we know IB loves rubrics. So you are going to give that student a score for A1, A2, and A3. Be really thoughtful as you read their paper to think about what really differentiates between a 1-2, a 3-4, a 5-6, or a 7-8 in their paper. So stating that it's really not specific, it's really brief, there's no explanation. If they outline it, there's just a really simple summary in their paper. If they have a lot more detail, then they're up here in the 5-6, and then you can't see with explain is they have a lot of details with reasons or causes that show what their personal interest is. They've showed the connection between their personal interest. When you look at how they explain their product, be thoughtful if it's really basic success criteria. You've looked at a little bit of success criteria in Process Journal 5. Do they have multiple appropriate success criteria or multiple appropriate detailed success criteria? So you can see lots of difference between these, and where would you give a score to those students? So be thoughtful and respectful. These are your peers, and they had to go above and beyond when we submitted their projects to IB, and we're reusing their projects. So be polite but thoughtful in how you reflect and score their paper so that you get a lot out of reflecting on someone else's work. When you get to giving them a score for A3, was there a detailed plan of how they would accomplish those success criteria? So A2 is just how well did they lay it out, and then what was their plan for how they were going to accomplish that success criteria. So this is a big piece that you're going to write about in October to really lay out your goal, because remember, the big piece of the whole point of this personal project is that big circular piece between investigating, planning, action, reflecting, and back and forth. So this is where you write that plan so that you can reflect and take action and do this whole process. So that is what you're putting in your process journal today to give them a score. So I would give the student a score for criteria A1, A, whatever the number is, because, and then say why. You're going to do the same thing, and you can even copy your sentence for criteria A2, and again for criteria A3. So that is what you're doing today. This is to prepare you so that in October you have very few process journals. You're mostly just writing the paper, that you have a sense of what is expected of you when you start writing your paper. There's a lot of support. If you're really struggling of how to grade someone else's work, you can go into the personal project classroom. Hopefully your teacher has added this by now. To look at what is going to be expected of you in October when you write your paper. These are the guiding questions. Not the rubric. That we're going to ask you to write about in October. So you're reflecting on other students, grading on other students' work, so that you have a really good roadmap when you get to the point where you're going to answer these questions about your own project in October. Again, reach out with questions. I'm available. I'll be around. This is the last stage of your brainstorming process before you start writing your paper and start diving into actually doing the big development pieces of your paper and your product. I'll be around. See you soon.